Hi everyone, welcome to the Trini Indian kitchen. Today I'll be making Sada Roti. Sada Roti is a type of flatbread. It's very similar to the chapati. It's from originally India, but it's eaten all over this Caribbean, West Indies, and even Fiji as well, the Fiji Islands. Sada Roti is basically, Sada means plain or original flavored, I guess, and roti means chapati or flatbread, something like that. So without further ado, let's get into the recipe. So here we have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and we have 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So it's 1 teaspoon for every cup. We have some dry flour, we'll need this a little later on, and we have some water. So we're going to start by putting the baking powder into the flour, and we'll just give that a mix. So now we'll add the water. So usually half the amount of water to flour we'll need. So about 1 cup, but we'll add it in very slowly, and we'll make a soft dough. So I just added half of it, and I'm going to continue, and I'm going to make a nice dough with it. So here's our Sada Roti dough. It's quite soft, but it doesn't stick to your hand, and it doesn't stick that much to the bowl. So this is how we want it. And it's springy, and that's because of the gluten. So we're going to go on to making the loy, which is the ball of dough to make the roti. So we're going to make our loy, our balls, before we roll them out, and we're going to actually let them rest for about 30 minutes. So we're going to grab a piece of the dough, about the size of a lemon. So about that much. Well, it actually depends on how big you want to make the roti. I like my roti quite small and thin, while others like theirs probably large and thick, but I like mine small. So we're going to dust it with a little flour like this, and we're going to just bring everything together into the middle. And then we're just going to roll it together, push it down, and here you have one dough ball, one loy. So here we've made our 8 loya. I made about 8, but obviously however big you want your roti to be, you'll have to make it according to that size. And you'll know how many rotis you'll be able to make with that. So I'll be able to make 8. I've got this damp paper towel here, and I'm going to cover them. And I'm going to let them rest for about at least 30 minutes. But otherwise you can roll them out right away, but it might be a little difficult because the gluten is still active in them. They've all rested, so I can just take this off, and we can start rolling them out, and I'm going to show you how to roll them out. Obviously for that you're going to need a bilna, but you can use any rolling pin is fine. So I've got my tawa heating up here. It's a iron griddle, and I've got another rack here on the other side of my stove just heating up, and you'll see what I use that for in a second. But here I've got my rolling pin, and I've got my flour, and I'm going to take 1 ball of dough, and I'm just going to dip it in the flour and then just flatten it out like this. So you're going to flatten it out and make it circular, and then with your rolling pin you're just going to roll it out. So you obviously need flour so that it doesn't stick, and you're going to roll it out. And you're going to roll it out to how thick and how big you want it to be. So I'm just going to show you completely how I rolled this first one out. And you want to make a nice circle. So you're going to make sure that everything is even, rolled out evenly, and make sure that there are no one spot that's rolled out better than the other. So when it comes to all-purpose flour, I'm not the best at making a good circle, but I tried here, and this is what I got. So when the tawa heats up, and I'm going to show you how it looks when it's ready, we're going to put this roti on, and we're going to cook it. Okay, so I've got my tawa here, and it's hot, and just to check, to see how hot it is, you're going to sprinkle some water, just a few drops, and when you see it sizzles right away, it's ready. So we can pick up our roti and just slap it on, and then we'll see how we can cook it like this. So you're going to notice that we'll get a few bubbles on the first side, and that's how you know that you're going to flip it. So I see a few bubbles coming up. Okay, so there's a lot of bubbles on this side now. Don't know how well you can see it, but I'll just flip it over, and you see it's not quite cooked on this side yet. So now that we have it on the second side, we're going to cook it until we see the brown spots that you're used to seeing on a roti. So just keep it, and I'll show you a few different ways of swelling or seking the roti so that it can puff up and actually swell nicely. Okay, so the roti's still cooking on this first side, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull the tawa back a little bit, and I'm going to pull it upwards like this, and I'm going to just set the roti so that it's just touching first side a little bit in front of the hot element. And I don't have a gas stove, otherwise it'll work so much better if you have a gas stove. And you just want to go around like that. And you can put you have to put your stove a little higher, otherwise it won't swell quite nicely. I'm going to turn it over. You see there's a nice coloring. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Try not to get it to touch, otherwise it will burst. And you could use a pair of tongs to help. But I find this way the roti doesn't swell quite as nice as I want it to. But this is a traditional way. And so this is the roti. It's not completely swell properly, but you can further try by pushing down on the edges. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm actually trying to get it to swell. Okay, it's almost there. Just push on the edges. Perfect. See how nicely the roti is swollen? And now you could put this aside. See, it has burst a little bit, so the air won't stay there any longer. And you're just going to have a nice color. You're just going to put this on your roti cloth, and you're going to cover it so that it stays hot. This is ready. I'm going to show you a few more ways to get it to swell if you're not as good as doing it on the tawa like this. But this is just the traditional way, and you see it's swollen nicely. So we've turned it over, and we're going to actually take another roti, and we're going to put it on top, and we're just going to press it on the side where it's tried to swell in the first place, and we're going to see if we can get it to swell all the way across. This has worked whenever I do it with my Indian rotis, like the chapatis, but I find it's a little harder to get it to swell like this. You have to press around the same way you would do it with the cloth. You press all the way around, and you will try to get your roti to swell nicely. You have to push all the bubbles. So you got this roti to swell a little bit, and the color could be fixed a little bit, but that's fine. And this is just another way to sake your roti. Okay, so I'm going to show you the rack one more time. I'm going to put the roti onto the rack, and you're going to bring it down onto the stove top, and you're going to just make sure that it swells properly and it doesn't burn. So perfect, it's swollen nicely. You can bring it back onto the towel and cook it some more. If the bottom part hasn't got a nice color on it, then you could cook it some more until it got that color. And you can also burst it so that it doesn't burst while you're handling it and burn you. Just so you see all the steam coming out. And now this roti is ready. So the last way is when your roti is cooked nicely on both sides, you're going to put it in the microwave for a few seconds, maybe 20 seconds, and you're going to take it out and see. So just, and the roti should swell. This one it's swollen nicely, and this one stays soft right away. So this roti is ready. So here it is, Sada Roti. This is my first video. Do make sure to leave a comment, to like the video, subscribe. I will be posting new recipes, traditional recipes, every Saturday. So please make sure that you subscribe to know when the videos come out right away. Thank you for watching.